You just thought there was going to be a new Vanillaware game dropping and I wasn't going to say a thing about it? Get into it. The state of gaming is entering an age of uncertainty. Things are going strictly digital, some games are taking too long to perfect and are either receiving poor reviews due to not being touched up enough, or are taking so long they're no longer deemed profitable and scrapped entirely. Truthfully, the popular wave of live service games are definitely factoring into this. While the notion of a game that can constantly bring in company revenue simply by adding in new features in the form of a subscription service must be appealing to companies and their shareholders, but this seems like a huge risk in the long run. Long production times for something that not only has to be fun, but also has to be enough to draw in and keep players coming back for more, and that's a task in itself. My hope would be that the focus on such a format might fall back a bit, that companies will hopefully, try and make appealing standalone games again, ones that, God willing, will be finished when they hit the shelves. This is Unicorn Overlord to the letter. Coherent story, beautifully animated sprites and backgrounds, fully voice acted, just the standard for what any game should be upon completion. I don't know, even voice acting your characters seems like a finer polish and not always necessary. But this shows that in today's day and age, good complete games can still happen, and can still be profitable. Unicorn Overlord is a tale of kings, queens, and usurping the throne. When Queen Ilena is challenged by her former general Balmor, her defeat causes the retreat of her young son, Elaine, as he's taken care of and trained by her right-hand man, Joseph. When Elaine is old enough, he will lead a front to once again seize control of the kingdom he was destined to rule. He will travel neighboring lands, making all kinds of allies to stand a chance against the nefarious Balmor, known now as King Galerius. It's not the most engaging story, but it is one that is coherent and is carried well by the addictive strategic gameplay and stunning visuals. The player will be gathering resources, funds, and allies as they build their own resistance against the powers that be. Characters will have to be strategically placed into groups to lead out against opposing armies and factions. These soldiers will consist of different classes, such as rogues, mercenaries, knights, archers, and a multitude of others. Placing a variety of classes together will help benefit one another and hopefully not leave you at a disadvantage to other groups. There's a lot to plan for during fights, such as clearing watchtowers that can get you struck preemptively, and utilizing abilities unique to your own characters give you an edge over others. The usual win condition is taking over a certain area, and not having your base claimed by the enemy. While there is a lot to factor in, such as who has a better initiative, what your characters can do defensively and offensively, which characters to place together to make the most impact, a good example is having a shield character help protect your front row characters while having magic characters and healers work from the back. You'll have to consider how many battles your group has had and make sure they aren't getting fatigued, having to choose whether to have groups stick close together to make sure you're choosing the right ones that might have a better advantage over others, or if you should deploy a heavy hitter to shave down outward forces and not find yourself overwhelmed and pressed for time. It has all the elements a real-time strategy should have, but while not pursuing Galerius, there's much to be done outside of battle. You'll find yourself having to gather resources to bring to the towns that have suffered under the rule of the new tyrant. Bringing them supplies will start to bring the lands back to their former glory, as well as helping neighboring nations. This will help your renown and show others that you're making a difference. This can do a lot of things, such as getting you more items, upgrading your armies, classes, and much more, so it's good to do as much out of battle as you do in battle. Unifying the other nations is a major key in this game as well. You'll travel to the land of the elves, bestials, desert tribes, and the angelic race, slowly befriending and strengthening your army till you finally find yourself ready to march upon your former kingdom. Our protagonist Elaine will also undergo many trials, such as finding out the secrets of the ring his mother left him, and even choosing who to have by his side. And that's not restricted to just women. You can get with anybody! Of course, this is all tackled in different ways. You can totally date your cousin though. Talk about realism. The fact that you can get with nearly every character and they all have unique dialogue to the situation, as well as in-game stuff, is pretty impressive. Unicorn Overlord will have you doing plenty off the battlefield, and somehow during my 50-ish hour playthrough, it never really felt stale. Everything you do feels like it contributes to the completion of the game. Mining for material, building relationships, and even having meals with a group of characters all feels like it has its worth and purpose. Seeing just how each character interacts and feels about each other is pretty nice as well, but that in itself does kind of bring a problem. There's almost too many characters. So many characters means having to shorten the depth of their personalities and connections to others. It's still impressive just how many unique interactions you can unlock, and of course not every character is going to have a connection to every other character, but it does give that feeling that these are people that do care for one another. The overall story of the game isn't the most unique one ever told, but it is at least a coherent tale. Honestly, I may have preferred less characters in hopes that they'd become further involved and connected in the overall story. You do get some deep tales, like Joseph lamenting about how he should have been the one to stay behind instead of the queen.
Had I only faced Galerius in her stead, might my demise have spared her such a cruel fate. Perhaps she would be the one standing beneath this moonlit sky instead of me.
Which to me is genuinely a really good moment, but I honestly want more of that, with more of the characters, not just centered characters. I want to get invested in all of them, and then getting to talk about what stakes they have in this war would have made for a better journey. Still, this is more than I could have ever asked for, because there is a lot offered. Beautiful art, fantastic music, and it's good to know that each character at least gets a bit of detail to them. It shouldn't really have to be said that a game produced by Vanillaware looks absolutely stunning, but it's almost a crime to at least not mention it. Every character sprite feels like something all their own, as well as reflects the land they come from. You've got the angelic race kind of matching colors, and the bestials have a type of armor built specifically for them. The characters of Drakenhold either dressing lighter and airy due to the desert region, and just a nice little touch to all of them. Even the elves have different types of races, it's nice. Of course, with most Vanillaware games, good art comes with good music. Base Escape usually works with Vanillaware, and this time is no different. I find myself loving a lot of the tunes, but to name a select few, I have to mention the absolute powerhouse that is Heir to the Dragonlands. The library theme that plays when you're reading into the game's lore and character descriptions was a good little tune. It makes for good background music when you're trying to remember what is what and who is who. As gripping and pretty as the combat can be, I am grateful that you can speed up the battles. I'm of the strong belief that most RPGs should come with a turbo mode, because as a guy in his 30s, I just don't have time to watch every beautifully crafted move over and over to its fullest. Please don't make me drop your game because it's feeling too long to get through. Unicorn Overlord is packed with content, and it makes it feel like such a complete and satiating package. Which is weird to say, like every game should feel complete and have enough stuff in it to be, a game. But in today's gaming industry, that is getting harder and harder to say. At its core, Unicorn Overlord is what a game should be. And I'm not saying that in the sense that it has to be good or amazing. I feel games should feel this complete and packed full enough to give the player what they paid for. And Unicorn Overlord delivers. Look, I know it's my favorite developer, but I feel Vanillaware does everything it can to make their games feel worthy of your time. Fantastic music, stunning gameplay, and a story that will keep you wanting to follow along, even if it's a little obvious here and there. It's odd to think that in this day and age I have to advocate for a game that feels at the very least complete. But this is the standard I want to hold to all games. Vanillaware worked on this title the moment 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim was completed, and now they've already announced that they're working on the next title. I'm happy to hear that Unicorn Overlord has been turning a profit. I'm sure maybe you've seen the meme that Sega has been, as the kids say, cooking, but the bigger reality is that yes, games like Metaphor and Like a Dragon and even Unicorn Overlord have been doing very well, shedding light that turn-based and real-time strategies are still very big genres. But be sure to give credit to Vanillaware here, because this game was completed solely because the efforts of Vanillaware. Sega's studio Atlas had stopped paying Vanillaware, and the final production cost came out of the CEO of Vanillaware's, George Kinatami's, pocket. And in the recent interview, he goes on to say that while they are satisfied with the finished product, there was more they wish they could have done, but just didn't have time. Stuff like different classes and even armor breaking when units became heavily damaged, which for some of these characters, what would that be? What would be left? I mean, come on. The point is they made a product that they were not only proud of, but wish they could do even more with. But these ideas won't become DLC or an expansion, simply because the team is ready to move on. And that's how a company should be. I hope the next few years will see the games industry doing some deep reflection on what makes a game worthy of the consumer. And hopefully they'll see their efforts being rewarded. Maybe they could use Unicorn Overlord as a good example of what to do right. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching me rant and rave about Unicorn Overlord. If you liked the video, then leave a like and consider subscribing if you're new. As always, have a good day and keep it practical.